There are some families that are getting their kids into school, families preparing kids for school, K through 12 schools starting back up all across the states for another full school year. But there are families that are taking advantage of Illinois' Invest in Kids school scholarship program for school choice that's funded by private donors, getting a 75% income tax increase from the state of Illinois, or rather a 75% income tax credit. I should say, not an increase, a 75% income tax credit for their donations into the Invest in Kids school scholarship program. But that program's getting ready to expire at the end of this year, meaning the families who are taking advantage of that right now, their kids are in their first half of the year. That'll be funded through the end of the year, but then if it expires, they're going to be in the lurch, and a lot of uncertainty all around that. Lawmakers could have addressed this in spring session. They did not address this in spring session. They've got a final opportunity to address it before the end of the year during fall veto session. We'll hear from State Senator Andrew Chesney and his thoughts. But Governor J.B. Pritzker was up in Matteson in a school district talking about the start of the school year and the importance of education to his administration, where he's pushing for continued increased funding for K through 12 schools. Here's the governor.
Now, from the beginning, when I was elected governor, I've made it my mission to ensure that our students get the quality education they deserve, no matter what zip code they live in, no matter what their income level is. We need fairness and equity in our education system, and also we needed to, frankly, invest in it, because it had been disinvested in for far too long. So since taking office, we've increased funding for K-12 education in Illinois by $2 billion. And I know money isn't the answer to everything, but you can't begin to solve the challenges without the resources.
So the governor talks about investing in education, but what about the Invest in Kids program? That's set to expire at the end of the year.
Well, that's not up to me, as you know. It's up to the legislature, and if the legislature wants to pass the Invest in Kids extension, I think that that's something that they should do. I also know how important it is that we support, kids who are going to private school too. And so however that gets done, I think the legislature is considering a number of options.
So the governor has previously said that he's open to some changes to it, maybe lowering the income tax credit from 75% to something else. But it's up to the legislature. Are they going to advance some kind of changes to the Invest in Kids program, or are they just going to let it expire? So the governor talked about the increased funds for K through 12 public schools, which right now is about $10.4 billion in the current fiscal year. They've increased funding $350 million every year for several years to now $10.4 billion. That is a fifth of the Illinois state budget. Similar spending line, pensions, about $10 billion that they're spending on pensions. So that's 2/5 of the state budget right there. Then when you look at the teacher pensions, that's about $6 billion. So a lot of money is going into K through 12 schools, and I think people would genuinely agree. They think more funding's good. And however, when you look at the outcomes are not good. General outcomes, the average across the state shows students just are not reading, writing, or doing math at grade level across the board. And then when you drill down in some different school districts, from Rockford to Decatur to elsewhere, it's even more abysmal, into the single digits as to the proficiency of students, say in third grade, reading or doing math. So obviously the public schools aren't having the best results. So there's this idea as part of the school funding formula rechange to have a Invest in Kids school scholarship program, the only school choice program that Illinois has, and it's limited. It takes private donations, puts it into a pot of money. Those donors get a 75% income tax credit on their donation, and then those dollars are then given and granted to families who are eligible, and they're low-income families, and then those families use those dollars, if they apply and they're eligible, to go to a private school of their choice, to take their kid out of a public school and put them into a private school. And one group in particular, Empower Illinois, a granting organization, they say that their satisfaction rate with the families who are taking advantage of this program is like 90+%. And about 90% if they're taking their kids out of public school and putting them into a private school of their choice, the outcomes are that much greater. So obviously there's some questions about whether or not this program is going to continue. The teachers union pushed back and they say this program diverts money away from public schools, and they're actually advocating for the elimination of this program. We'll talk with State Senator Andrew Chesney. I talked with him earlier this week. I'll air some of that for you here in moments, but of course I want to get your phone calls as they come in at 217-629-7970. We'll take a quick one here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Greg, I used to support school choice, but it just seems like it never pans out the way it's supposed to. There always seems to be a grift. There always seems to be, yes, the choice is the school, and we choose who gets to go here. Whether, if you've got the money or if you've got the dollars, you still get final say. So if your kid's got a learning disability, didn't make the cut. Sorry. Public school, everybody's welcome. They just need to get a wrangle on it and figure out, if it's not funded, fund it. And if it is funded enough, figure out what's going wrong with it.
Yeah, because listen, I mean, $10+ billion in these school districts, and the outcomes aren't nearly the levels that you would anticipate. There's a lot of that need to consider, in the future. But listen, school voucher programs, they are what they are, and allowing a family to choose to get their kid out of a failing school to put them into a private school of their choice. Why not allow that option, especially if it's going to be funded by private donors who do get a tax credit, but they're getting private donors. And listen, the program Invest in Kids has a cap of $100 million. That's out. $100 million. That's it. Can't go higher than that, right? But right now they only have about $36 million in funds available to give out for these scholarship programs. So it's not even fully utilized, but it's set to expire. State Senator Andrew Chesney, he doesn't like the idea of allowing this to expire, and he says that this is indeed going to be the fight of the veto session coming up in late October.
I think the bigger fight is certainly the Invest in Kids and the renewal of the scholarships for our young kids that are in failing school systems that have parents that want to remove their children from these failing schools and put them in better schools. I think that's really the fight of veto session, is not only renewing that, but trying to get additional monies for it. The idea that outcomes are dictated by zip code is just outrageous. And, we have to strip the elitism out of the other side of the aisle when it comes to education. The fact that, all the legislators have the ability to send their kids to private schools, but don't want the kids in poorly performing schools to be able to send their kids is the height of hypocrisy. And so these credits help those that need it most, those that are the most vulnerable, and have been proven to be widely successful. They cut across all demographics, all races, and everybody that has taken advantage of these programs are certainly in favor of them. And, we have a lot of people down there that, lobby for this, that in many cases don't even come from my district, don't represent or live in my area.
So Chesney says he wants to see it extended and expanded, not reduced.
It's not. No, I mean, it actually should be renewed at a minimum and expanded if possible. I'm not under any illusion that it's going to be expanded. The governor, he's been running for president for quite a while now, and I'm sure he's going to continue on with the path of placating to the teachers unions and the union bosses in Chicago that dictate so much of our state policy, that are the ones responsible, the union bosses, for our failing systems, and those that just are simply not producing and turning out outcomes, most importantly for our kids.
So again, we'll see what happens with the Invest in Kids program. I'll be watching that closely when they come back for fall veto session. But there's a lot that they're going to be tackling for fall veto session, so we'll see if they can squeeze that in. If not, a lot of families are going to be left in the lurch. All right, that's all I got for you here with Springfield's Morning.